Warning, the podcast you are about to hear is real. The events in this broadcast are 100% factual and may not be suitable for some listeners. No, seriously, it's all real. I'm not kidding. It's for realsies. This isn't some joke intro. What you guys are about to listen to is a podcast that has been highly researched on YouTube and TikTok. And what the guy wearing and the guy wearing a tinfoil hat pushing a shopping cart with only one wheel up and down my street told me. Have I ever misled you before? Don't answer that. But what I am saying this time is true. Look. See? I have my fingers crossed. I don't have my fingers crossed or anything. Fine, don't believe me. You're going to be sorry you didn't believe me. I mean it. Mockumentaries on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 That's time for the show. Yay.
What?
I just want to say that I totally botched that intro. Was so proud of it. I wrote it. I practiced it. And
You practiced it. Okay. All right.
I did it wrong. It was a lot funnier.
Oh,
in my head.
Yeah,
it was funny.
Usually.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. This is episode 295. And we are going to talk about horror mockumentaries on this episode. Movies that play like a real documentary, but is totally fictional. Like, for your normies out there, stuff like, This is Spinal Tap, or A Mighty Wind is a good one, Waiting for Guffman. But those are comedies. We're talking about horror mockumentaries. I love mockumentaries, especially the ones that make you kind of second guess whether it's real or not. Are the films we're about to talk about convincing enough to seem real? I guess we're going to find out later, huh?
Yes, we are.
If this is your first time listening to Attack of the Killer Podcast, let me kind of clue you into what's happening. It's happening. It's for real. This is an illusion. Attack of the Killer Podcast is a horror movie podcast. We're a group of friends. We get together, we hang out, we talk about the genre we love so much, which is horror. We pick a topic, we discuss films within that topic. We're just friends, hanging out, having a good time, drinking a couple Zimas, and there's probably going to be spoilers. Just going to tell you. If you're wondering if it's true, yes, we do have a Patreon. Now you can rest easy. But I just want to say it's much more than just a Patreon. You don't just donate your money and end up getting like a thank you, maybe a bonus episode of a show here and there. No, when you donate to ours, you become part of the Attack of the Killer Podcast family. We call those people the attackers. As an attacker, you get to choose from a huge amount of bonus content, from bonus episodes, exclusive YouTube shows like Insane Mike's 1 Minute Top 10 list, video updates, and killer critiques. You can get your own membership card, sticker, and certificate. You can get original art by me called Mikey's Monsters, where I draw you as a monster of my choice.
Emily, I have it. I just need to scan it in. I'm saying it now. I'm outing myself so that I get it done. He gave it to me. I'll get it to you.
Yeah, it's not on me.
It's awesome.
It's been done for a while. Just kidding. There is so much more you can get. And when I say that you are part of the Attack of the Killer Podcast family, I mean it. You get to be part of our exclusive chat, like Attack of the Killer Chat. You get invites to our monthly horror hangouts and watch parties. And you even get shout-outs. That's right, shout-outs on the show. Just like all of these amazing attackers right here.
Timothy Linnerer, Roman Doppelfeld, Larry Watanabe, Brett Royer, Seth Key, Jessica Irish, Chris Cook, Brian Godstill, Stephen Stitter, Brandy Moore, Andrew Moeller, Rod Hutchinson, Carmen DeHague, Abraham Ariano, Jacob Book, Andrew Bentler, Casey Kellerman, Tony Miller, Mike Clayton, Rose Talshoma, Marcus Rude, Abe Kirshner, Lisa Cavalier, Holly Berg, Emily Randolph, Bill Fisher, and Greg Diedrich.
What a list.
Holy crap.
Those guys are cool.
And you can be cool too by also becoming an attacker. So just go to jointheattackers.com, pick the tier for the content you want to get. Again, that site is jointheattackers, all one word, .com. And become an attacker today.
Right now.
Yes. We'll wait while you go do that. And now it's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. He started watching that Beastie Boys documentary, that docuseries that just came out. It's released in 5 parts. Parts A through D are freely available to download, but you have to fight for your right to Part E. Tad, everybody.
Hey guys, that was a stretch.
Wow.
If that was a stretch, I'm
Okay.
going to pull something on this one. He just got done watching a documentary about the invention of a shovel. He said it was really groundbreaking. Jason.
Oh, that was not so good. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We really appreciate you being here.
And speaking of groundbreaking, here's Tad with what we watched.
In what I assume will be the shortest what we watch segment of all time, to lift the curtain back slightly, we usually record bi-weekly. We're recording 1 week after the last episode, so I'm very curious to see if anybody else has watched anything. I'll start with Jason.
Dudes, I totally have seen stuff. You know, things
lucky.
and stuff. I actually did. I got one. I have one movie.
Yeah.
And it's a brand new movie directed by Andy Muschietti.
From
The Flash.
Well, there goes mine.
Oh, well, let's talk about it. Dad, you watch it too? Let me see here. No, you didn't.
Oh, I still have to put mine in Letterboxd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is my one watch as well. So yeah, let's discuss.
Yeah, shortest. Yeah, I saw it pop up there. I've been waiting patiently for it.
it's on Max or something.
Yeah, it just
Yep.
hit Max this past weekend,
Yep.
something like that.
And obviously, we all know the bad stuff about Ezra and how he sucks, and almost single-handedly stopped this movie.
Were you able to separate it?
Yeah, totally,
Okay.
100%. When times are slow and I'm around other people and I need this conversation, I'll sometimes, I just did it the other day with some work people. I was like, hey, separating art from the artist. What do you think? Go. Just, because it's hard. It's tough talk.
It depends, man.
And it does. And so, yeah. As a big, Mike made me this way. It's on purpose, and he's happy to hear this. But, I'm a DC guy.
Woo!
I quite enjoy the DC.
Raised you right.
Yeah, that's right. And so I was, and I love all the movies that have come out in the last 10 years. I don't care what you say, Tad, but which you probably haven't watched half of.
Well, I mean,
but
they're wiping the slate clean after Blue Beetle, right?
I know, so cool, yay!
Yeah, I'm bummed because I thought Blue Beetle was supposed to be part of that wipe, but they just keep moving the wipe back
do.
further and further with each box office failure.
And so Ezra nearly destroyed this one, but it did come out, and I've heard some. I try it now these days as a movie guy. Normally we're like, oh, let's learn all about this, but maybe it's after. I tried hard not to just pay attention to any of that. But I thought I'd heard that they'd re-edited this thing like 47 times, and with different just trying to fucking make it work and minimize hisness. But anyway,
How can you minimize him
I know
when
he
he
is
stars in
all-
the movie twice?
What do you mean? This is Batman, the movie with Batman with Flash.
I wish you could say that.
But it's not hard for me to separate it. and I enjoyed the holy shit and fuck out of it. I loved it. It was. Now I also don't have the entire lifetime of comic book nerddom like you do. That would, I don't know how you could. A person with your knowledge, Mike, could enjoy any comic book movie if they wanted to be nitpicky.
It depends, and I'm an adult, so I can separate different properties
I
from
love
one
it.
another.
I
so.
love it. Yeah, some can't. But so to me, I don't have any baggage, as far as history, and so I was taking it for what it was. I'd seen all the other films, so it fucking was great. I love the Justice League movie. I prefer the
Snyder
cut, hands down. So good, longer the better. Tad, shut up. And I thought he was good in this. I hate saying so. He was a little twitchy bastard, but he's the Flash. So again, I don't have a version of what's his character name again?
Barry Allen.
I don't have a Barry Allen in my head, so I don't have anything to compare him to, and you shouldn't anyway. But I know it's hard to not. But so he was great. I thought he was awesome. Batman '89 is a game changer for a lot of people, and I loved it. But man, everyone else in the world seems to have a way bigger boner about Batman '89 than me, and I love it. But like, people are like, it's a big deal that Keaton's back, and it's awesome, and it's cool, and it's really neat and awesome, and all of that. But and then lastly, I'll just, and so I do after the movie's over. I'm like I do every time. I'm like, man, this was great. Let's go celebrate this awesomeness with the rest of the internet. Mistake.
Don't. Yeah.
Yep. And so it was like, anyway, I'll just take I assume the biggest critique is the CGI, and I just like, go fuck yourself, because here's why, Mike.
Okay.
It's fucking awesome. Get over it. Like, just think of a CGI movie 10 years ago. What the fuck do you want? Like, has anyone ever been okay with CGI? It's always something. I'm like, it's a fucking miracle what we're seeing on this TV. Like, suspend a fucking smidge of disbelief.
Someone who has not seen the movie but was shown a CGI scene out of context, I was very confused because it was like a scene where we had two Ezra Millers.
Mm-hmm. That's confusing.
Yeah.
And why is one CGI when you can, like, the fucking, like, technology to do like a split screen and film one in front of a green screen was around in like the 50s. Why are they CGI and a whole person next to? I don't. And is there a reason, like, in the story as to why one looks like fake?
I didn't realize that
They
CGI'd Ezra Miller to act with himself. I assumed it was like all
like a face
classic
replacement
techniques.
thing.
Oh, is that what it was?
I don't
know.
didn't really notice, but
It might have been. Just because the
on
fact that one of the Flashes is like supposed to be younger than the other one.
Yeah,
in the story.
And I really liked the action in Batman vs Superman. That they're like, how we don't have a reference to see a superhuman fly quickly through the air and smash another person. We don't know what that looks like, so it's gonna look weird, and it does look weird. But I think it's cool as shit because I'm like, holy shit, look how fast they're moving. I feel like I'm just a kid that's just easily entertained, and I just hate the internet is what I'm saying. So that I really liked it. I don't really have anything I didn't like. It was great.
Well, my thoughts are all over the place because I wanted a rebuttal to
either
rebuttal or support every sentence that came out of your mouth. First of all, on one flip side, I'm personally shocked that you like this movie because of the timey-wimey time travel shit.
That
I
could
know
be
you
the-
hate that, and
I
that
do.
is the whole point of this movie.
Yeah, I do hate it. Time travel in general, not a fan.
And I feel like I almost hated their rationale for time travel, a conveniency, than Marvel's at this point. I mean, it's almost kind of similar, right? If I'm understanding it, and I think that's probably why this one bothers me more than the Marvel stuff, because I don't know if I quite understand what they're trying to tell me and their logic of time travel and how you can go in the past and interact with yourself and then yourself.
Oh, the spaghetti metaphor?
That
tough
well, the
for
whole
you?
multiverse thing,
Right,
which is the
right.
spaghetti metaphor,
Right.
and that he's technically in a different timeline, but then I don't want to get spoilery. I don't want to get
Yeah,
spoilery.
it's time travel movies. Yeah.
It's just stuff that happens in the end there in that third act in the final fight. It's like, well, then wouldn't that be?
You're thinking too hard. I know.
Not really.
I know, though.
It's like, can you follow your own mythology? I don't know. Anyway, if you, I don't know. Some of it felt like a little lazy on the writing side. I really feel like these people need to start bringing in like I don't know, scientific theorists to help write the script instead of just because I just feel like they keep when it comes to the time travel-y stuff here lately in the past decade worth of superhero movies in general that they just keep writing themselves in the corner and come up with one little bit of dialogue that explains it away and why it's okay. But I can't wrap my brain around it. Anyway.
I
That's-
just want to see it because I know that the Nick Cage Superman's in it.
Oh, shoot.
But
What? I don't know
Where
what
was
you're talking
that? I guess I took some issues with CGI. Yes, anytime there's actual superhuman outside of reality action going on, that shit's cool. Although the babies looked really cartoony to me when the
Sure. It was.
they
It
looked
was
really cartoon. Wait, like I thought I was watching a cartoon. His actions were cool. Where I take issue with some of the superheroic actions, when it's a normal 70-year-old human being that is doing flips and landing on the ground and getting thrown through the air and shit and just gets up and keeps moving. It's a lot of that Batman stuff in the third act that
He's a trained.
kind of defies. That's where it kind of starts defying the laws of logic for me.
Oh.
Although I will also say, on the flip side of that, first of all, yeah, the Michael Keaton stuff was my favorite. I was so excited and anticipating it, and it did not let me down.
There's so much more than I thought there was going to be.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
He was a huge chunk of the
He
movie.
really was.
He, in my opinion, he'd be like second build.
Yeah.
You know, he was like I guess technically third most important character of the whole movie. Anyway, and he was awesome.
He was.
And it was so cool being a fan of the original movie, even back then being a fan of the original movie, but still can bitch and moan about how, like, it kind of sucks that we have a Batman that when he fights, all he could do is turn at the waist, you know, because that suit is so bulky. So it was kind of cool to see in that design, knowing it's Keaton, even though it's still CGI or stunt doubles or the combination of
seeing
both,
him.
seeing him kicking some ass. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Doing some jumps and some, stuff you never saw in those original two Batman
Yeah.
movies. So that was cool. I will give you that.
In the same way, like in modern Star Wars, you're like, fuck yeah, Yoda can do some badass shit.
Yeah, getting to see him
Getting to
flip around
see-
instead of
so getting to
not
see
be able to
Batman.
see his feet because he's a Muppet. Yeah.
So getting to see Keaton Batman
Yeah.
kick ass was awesome.
But I'm not a fan of Ezra Miller even before the controversy. I'm kind of torn because I never liked him as the Flash. And this is maybe the comic book geek in me, but I never really thought he had the look. And I think I love the suit now way better than I did in the Justice League. Him with all that wire strapped to him just looked like garbage to me. But I get why it was that way. And now he's got this more high-tech Wayne Tech suit that makes more sense.
It's cool as shit.
And I'm also glad, because this is expanded into the comics, and I hate it when they over design an outfit. But I'm glad that the little stripes, the little lightning stripes, weren't actually part of the costume. It was part of the power surging through the costume. So when he's just standing there in the suit, it's just solid red like it should be, in my opinion, instead of those weird little lightning stripes all up and down the legs and the torso.
And the
everything.
ring, I assume, is from the comics. Too.
Yeah, the ring is the thing. Oh, that rhymed. But I just never really thought, because when you see him in that cowl, like, I don't know, his face structure does not work in that cowl very well.
I certainly don't give two shits about Ezra. The whole time I'm like, sure, I think he's great, he's funny, he's super quirky enough, but like 100% the whole time I'm like, he could easily be replaced.
Yeah,
to me.
Well, in Justice League, I felt like he was the weakest part of that movie as far as the team goes. I didn't like how they portrayed him. I didn't like his performance in it. I feel like this movie, his character is more matured and is more experienced, so that kind of helped him this time around. But then you turn around and get that 18-year-old one that's even more annoying than he was in Justice League. So I'm like, fuck this guy.
But his arc was large and good.
Oh, yeah.
In general, too. So.
Yeah. What else did I have to say? Yes, I loved all the nods to the past DC films, even going so deep as to reference a movie that was never made, which is cool.
There's silver linings to the multiverse.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know anything about me as a comic fan. I love the multiverse concept. There's so much you could do with it as long as you don't use it as a crutch. And I just feel like these movies, Marvel included, are using it as a way talking themselves out of doing certain things in their films. You know, I'm just going to go back because I can't spoil this, but just going back to Marvel, and it still bothers me that they killed Gamora before all the events that happened in Guardians 1 and all of the shit with the stones and everything. So like they kill her off and then steal Gamora before all those other events happen, which would negate all those other events, which would just totally destroy the whole timeline, because none of the things that they are happening now in this movie would never happen, because Gamora was dead at that point in time. But no, let's just write it off as like, that's a separate timeline now. That's, to me, is just kind of a cop-out. Just like
time travel, man.
Just use this as a crutch to talk ourselves out of a hole we've written ourselves into.
Oh, I think they write that way on purpose nowadays. Let's create the most harrowing thing that is unescapable, and then just write it out in the last line.
Yeah, and how long before we're sick of that?
That's all. Well, that's all it is now.
Because that's not good writing, man. No. Anyway. So I'm kind of torn on it. There's some things I really love, but there's some things I don't like. And
lastly, I wonder if Tad's still awake.
I was just going to say, before Attack of the Killer podcast gets canceled,
right.
I want all the listeners to know that Jason and Mike were the ones speaking and using he pronouns when we all know Ezra Miller uses they, them pronouns.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't know that, but... My bad.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm just giving you guys shit, but
no, I didn't.
Well, I mean, they do use those pronouns,
they do.
But
yeah. But I would,
without knowing that,
I would assume we get a hall pass considering who we are talking about, and
you better watch out. They might show up on your fucking doorstep, take your wallet, punch you in the head.
This is true.
What they do.
Well, we can talk about that offline. We shouldn't get into that kind of stuff, I guess. Anyway, Ted, what'd you watch?
What did you see, buddy?
Not The Flash. I watched very little. I watched some episodes of What We Do in the Shadows. This season has been maybe my favorite. It's really fucking weird.
It's so off the rails. I love it.
Absolutely fucking bonkers. We just finished the episode. I won't spoil much, but there's an episode where they're trying to doing some experiments, and these little animal crossbreeds with Gizmo come about, and it just is so fucking wild and weird. There's these like dog / Guillermo crossbreeds, and he's supposed to shoot them, but he can't because they're his children. And it's so fucking out there, but it's like every episode I cry laughing. It's so it's gotten so off the rails that it's so much fun.
Oh yeah, immensely.
And the Pride Parade episode was really fucking funny.
Oh, that's so great. That's the one where was that the same one? What was the one where Laszlo slips and talks about how they're vampires on television?
Yeah.
So they spend the whole episode like freaking out.
Speaking of documentaries, but
Yeah.
that was like a documentary with like news footage within a mockumentary. Yeah, it's really funny. Trying to figure out what they're going to do because they keep letting it on national television or local television actually. But anyways, this season has been absolutely hilarious, and I'm falling in love with it again.
Yep.
I really do think this season is my favorite so far. And then I've been making my way through the latest season of Dark Side of the Ring. And I think I told you guys, but there's like the episode I watched was not actually that dark. So I'm wondering if they're getting like they're running out of. I mean, wrestling is just never gonna. This week we've gotten 2 more dark sides that we can do. With Terry Funk and Bryant, whatever. Yeah.
Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt. Thank you. But no, the one I watched was more of no one got hurt or died. It was more ego thing and behind the scenes stuff and interesting, but I'm like, this is a stretch for an episode. So that's really all I've watched in a lot of Food Network.
Yeah.
But I did preview a few little minutes of Slaughterhouse, which when you're listening to this, I will have played it and watched it all, and you guys are in for a treat. This movie is the sloth is done practical. He's a puppet, and he's a slasher sloth, and it's done very tongue in cheek and cleverly, and it looks so good, guys.
And from the trailer, it looks awesome because I love satirical, outrageous, on borderline parody concepts like that. If the filmmaking is still done super serious and earnest, it looks like this could be a theatrical film that just happens to have a killer sloth, and it's not like some Muppet-looking sloth either. It's a realistic-looking sloth. Like every detail looks like it's taking way too seriously for such a ridiculous concept, and that is what excites me.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see it in a theater full of people tomorrow. Shout out to the Brett and Tony crew. They're coming and they're doing a podcast on it. So
nice.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
cool.
what I watched.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Tad. And here you thought that was going to be a short segment this week. Just get Jason and I talking about comic book movies. 2 guys left on the planet that still like them. Anyway, now it's time to get into our mockumentaries. Jason,
That's me.
what's our first one?
Oh, man. Our first one is from way back in 2018.
Don't say way back. It makes me feel old.
Well, you are old. We're talking about Butterfly Kisses.
Behind me stands Ilchester Tunnel, a throughway for the B&O Railroad for over a century. But for the past 80 years, it has become something far more sinister.
And the very first one that I pick up says, final solution.
A young lady identifies herself as Sophia Crane.
And then it got a little upsetting after that. Got a little bit weird. There's no cuts. There's no retakes. There's no calling for action. There's absolutely no evidence to suggest that somebody is directing them.
We have the possibility that this whole thing is real. And we have the possibility this whole thing is a largely plausible hoax.
If you're working with all these elements, you can, journalistically speaking, you can construct your own story out of whatever footage you choose to put in there.
I do not believe that this video is authentic.
I think there's some acting involved, there's some effects involved. And I think that it's kind of disturbing that he feels that the only way to market this footage is to pretend it's real.
This has been done 1,000 times before, and we think it's a scam. I'm not the only one, it's everyone. We're gonna take this footage to every professional in town that we can find. Ghost hunters, mythbusters. We're going to go to the radio stations. We're going to the TV stations. We're going to show the footage, and we're gonna saturate the market with this information. Then we're gonna prove to the world that Peeping Tom exists. The camera doesn't lie.
A filmmaker discovers a box of videotapes depicting a disturbing student film project about an urban legend known as Peeping Tom. As he sets out to prove the footage is real, he becomes obsessed, along with the film crew following him. This film's directed by Eric Christopher Myers, who, I don't know, nobody knows. Gosh, guys, how do I say this?
Oh.
This is my favorite one of the 3 films tonight.
Okay,
Are you serious?
You're kind of
I
scaring
am
me.
completely serious.
But your tone is indicating.
I don't know where to go. I don't know. Of the 3, the subject, I like the legend.
It's one of the things I really like about this is that myth.
That's the part that really
mythology.
Makes this one interesting to me.
And then what they do with that, right? Like, not just is it the whole blinking thing, but adding the concept of the camera turning it off and on being the blink.
Being able, that the blink can be a non-human thing too. Yeah. So, and then the concept of this Peeping Tom moving closer to you with every blink. That's fucking scary shit, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that a Doctor Who episode? You're
Brian?
welcome, Brian Clark.
There we go. Thanks.
But I think there's like a weeping.
I believe it.
Yeah, there's one about like a weeping. I don't know.
Angels?
Angel or statue or something. But I know, there was that thing in Super Mario 2 where like if Mario wasn't looking at the thing, it chased him, so you had to turn around and make him stop. Yeah. Made me think of that. Anyways, back to the movie. Close those tabs.
Yeah. And as I look at the my Letterboxd reviews of all 3 films, this one has the highest. For real. Because
Of yours
Yeah,
or
but how
other
many?
people?
of my reviews of these 3 films.
Yeah, but
Okay.
how many stars?
You don't want to know. Yeah.
Are there any stars?
You can't do 0 stars or you're not rating it, I guess. No, it's the other 2 have 1. This one has 1.5. It's
Really?
way better.
Oh, no.
Okay, but so and then the girl and the director guy, he gets on my nerves super fast.
He's the worst part of this thing. His character
He started
is
out
so
fine, but then he
much
just-
of a piece of a shit that
Yeah.
it does make it a little hard to want to follow this movie.
But the thing that really, to me, hurt this movie is you kind of heard it in the trailer there, but they're like, we got to debunk this tape. We got to do this. And so they spend what in my head felt like a half an hour or 20 minutes, but they start listing off all the reasons why this can't be true. And they're the most compelling reasons that are so obviously why this isn't true. Like, I think that part was too good. They told me why this
They
movie
debunked
sucks.
it for
Yeah, they completely did.
So are you saying
They listed all the things that sucks about this movie. It was
I kind of like
me-
that, and I'll explain why.
Oh.
But are you saying does it take you out of like
it
the
you just like
horror of this movie?
absolutely.
Okay.
It went from a movie I was engaged with to, oh, you just listen to movies, the reasons why yeah, you're right, guy saying all these things about why this isn't good or real. And so after that point, I was just like, dang. It's like, it was, but up until then, and because, you know, the legend is awesome, the peeping Tom thing's cool. I like the girl, and the footage is neat and fine. You know, they show him appearing like it's obvious. We all see it the first time, and it's not a big shocker when they're like, oh, he was here all the time, and all these, we saw him in all the shots. Come on.
Yeah.
But it's definitely still my favorite of the, I mean, I liked it. It
Yeah,
was
1.5
cool.
is a like.
Yeah, I know. It's not a good episode for me, guys. I'm trying to be positive. I did like the good stuff.
Well, don't spare it for my feelings. Do you feel like then if they held back more on the shit with the guy trying to get this footage out here and all the debunking shit, and maybe focused more on the stuff that was actually on the tapes, it would have been better?
Absolutely.
Because the stuff on the tapes, like, I mean, I guess if you take it out and put it on its own, it can be creepy and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you know, you and I agree that the peeping Tom legend thing is pretty neat.
That's the best part. Yeah. Just the duder and the debunking was just unfortunate for me. But.
And like we can put this, if we just focus on the tapes within the film, and put this in a category with like, you know, It Follows or Smile, where like, both of those movies have a little more uplifting endings, and I like how this one, how the themes are kind of similar, but it has such a darker ending for that girl that it's just, and you know, because the whole time in those type of movies, it's always about the protagonist trying to figure out how to outsmart this legend and how to break the rules and survive. And she kind of does it, but it's not still good for her. It's like probably almost worse.
And then I'll try my hardest not to say this in the other two, but you have to know when you're watching these, you're like, oh, Jason's not going to like all this fancy editing.
We'll get to that when I
camera
talk
stuff.
about the next movie.
This is just the editing exercise of, and like,
But
how,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
and how come one filmmaker can't buy one camera that doesn't distort?
Well, most of these movies try to rationalize it as that whatever magical entity is the horror element is causing these tapes to
that so?
malfunction and shit.
Okay.
And that's definitely apparent in this one, because like one of your most hated things in these type of movies is those random, you know, crackly audio distortions, and they explain it in this one. That it's some ghosty old Morse code bullshit.
Right. At least they tried that.
But that's what I like about this one.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, it's a documentary within a documentary within a documentary. You know, there's like 3 levels to this, and it really feels like, to me, I mean, this is my second viewing of this movie, and I think I even liked it more than the first time I watched it, and it might be my favorite out of the 3 too, even though spoilers, I love all 3 of these movies. I mean, I personally handpicked them because I like them. But I really feel like this particular filmmaker is trying to do more of a meta commentary on these type of films, because they just flat out tell you, you know, this is bullshit within the director's storyline of this movie. This is bullshit. This is debunked. And you watch his personal life just spiral out of control because everybody's shitting on him. So much to the point they're hitting us over the head with this so much about how, like, you know, this found footage stuff is not real, and poo-poo on the directors who are trying to overly convince the audience that it is real. So much so that they get Eduardo Sanchez, the maker of the Blair Witch Project, to come into the movie and say, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant and almost hilarious to me.
Yeah, that was a good touch. on the meta of it for sure.
And so you get those moments where, like, you get the annoying sound effects that they filter into the movie to try to make it jump scary or creepy or whatever, of the sound distortions like we were just talking about. And then they turn around and make fun of that within this movie as well. So it's like taking all those tropes and poking fun out of it and at it. And that's one of the big things I took away from it, especially this second viewing for me. So yeah, I like it. I mean, I am agreeing with you that the worst part of this movie is the guy trying to make the movie. He is such an unlikable character. You kind of don't really feel sorry for him, with what happens to him as he goes down the toilet.
Yeah, you almost root for his demise instead of going for him at some points. What do you think, Tad?
I didn't mind this one. I too felt the director character. I mean, I think we're supposed to sort of hate him as more and more as the movie goes on, because he's becoming more and more obsessed with this and becoming a bigger piece of shit. I liked that it was sort of like, we're gonna start making this thing, and like a lot of real documentaries, it becomes something else. Like, it becomes a movie more about the guy trying to make the movie than what they were originally set out to make. But I felt as it went on, it piqued my interest at the beginning, and I became like less and less interested as it went on.
Oh, okay.
But still good. Like, I actually enjoyed all three of these, but this might be in the middle for me. I liked it, didn't love it, didn't hate it. Obviously didn't hate it, but yeah, I don't know. I agree with Jason with the edits and stuff. Like, it's hard to, and of course this was what, 2018?
Yeah.
That's not that long ago. I don't know. It's like, it feels like there was a time when we could accept that kind of stuff, and now it's like we know better. I don't know.
Well, again, I feel like all of that shit was in the editing stuff, especially, was intentional. Intentionally done poorly. Because, like, the scene where the guy is using up the blinks of the camera, and he's in that field, and he purposely stands right in front of the camera when he turns it on, and then there's Peeping Tom when he moves out of the way, and and then they even make fun of that within the movie. I mean, that a second grader can figure out how to do that poor camera trick, and I feel like it was done on purpose. Because who would stand in front of the camera when you're turning it on and off like that, when you're trying to capture this Peeping Tom thing? So it's a blatantly obvious poor man's camera trick to try to be spooky, and I feel like that was on purpose.
Yeah, but some of it is just like, and I understand some of it's probably to hide some stuff or make it feel more. It's funny because it's like supposed to feel more real, and then like if you, like Jason does, if you know how editing works, it makes it feel less real. But it's fine. It was okay. Nothing I would watch again, but at least all these are.
It's worth watching for sure.
Yeah, and they're all pretty short, and I find the genre cool. Like, I loved that you picked this episode, and then we'll get to the shout outs later, but there's like actually quite the great list of movies on this.
Sweet. So. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I dig this kind of stuff. So I knew kind of going into it, especially rewatching these films, that I was probably going to be on the soapbox for these films more than you guys.
Well, it has that. We did the episode, the YouTube horror stuff.
Oh, the analog horror. Yeah.
Yes, it has that. It's like one step above analog horror, where it's like, supposed to feel real but not real, and but it's not quite found footage.
Yeah, and I keep going down that rabbit hole of the analog stuff and these mockumentary found footage style stuff. and I don't know if it because I love it or if I'm trying to articulate why I like it. I can't seem to really explain what is about this type of storytelling that appeals to me.
If it feels like it was shot on VHS.
Yeah, but again, we're poking it's something because we're sitting here
It's that
all
VHS
agreeing that we can.
though, that
You
get a boner
probably
for.
Yeah, but it gives me certain feels though, more than just like a nostalgia that I love it kind of thing. But like I feel like that that analog type of stuff has a tendency to be creepier. I think because it's such shitty quality that you don't know what's hiding in the frame, even if it's broad daylight and right in front of your face, because you can't make it out because it's all scratch. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's that whole what you're not seeing is scarier.
Yep.
Anyway. So, and did you guys ever think you would be talking about a horror movie called Butterfly Kisses?
No.
What kind of trivia do you have for this one, Tad?
I have some trivia on all of these.
Sweet.
The viral marketing campaign for this film was so successful that the Blink Man legend was included in a book on local folktales called Haunted Ellicott City by Shelley Davies Wygant. After the book was published, director Eric Christopher Myers reached out to the author to let her know that he had concocted the legend as a marketing campaign for the film.
After the book came out?
Yeah, after
That's a dick move.
Despite Myers' concern that she would be angry, Wygant said that I thought it was genius. So she was like,
"Oh, that's good."
It was so well done that she fell for it. And then the other piece I have is the footage for the student film was shot in 1080 film and re-uploaded through filters to create the found footage effect. So
there are filters on top of filters on top of filters.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then run it through the mud and then put some more filters on it, which is cool. I appreciated some of the times when it looked so bad. I'm like, they don't let this bad a quality on TV anymore. So like, I appreciated it, but yeah. Oh man, sorry.
Oh, is that it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's all the trivia.
Cool. All right. So we're going to move on to our next film that I'm really nervous to talk about with you guys. It's from 2007. It's called The Poughkeepsie Tapes.
There's blood out there. Please, do something. Do something. Do something.
It's a missing person. We have to wait 24 hours.
No, there is blood. There is blood out there. Send the police now.
Today, police made a shocking discovery in Poughkeepsie.
A third body was found here today. A Poughkeepsie couple vanished over the weekend, seemingly without a trace.
Do you mind if I film this? I'm making a little movie about my trip.
The Poughkeepsie Tapes.
The Poughkeepsie Tapes from 2007. Written, directed, and edited by John Eric Dowley. It's about the murders of a serial killer in Poughkeepsie, New York. And just when the police are at their wits' end trying to figure this out, they uncover hundreds of tapes in an abandoned house in Poughkeepsie, New York. The murder investigators uncover all these tapes made by the killer. And the whole story is told through interviews and disturbing footage from many of the killer's snuff films. So this is, again, I think, in retrospect, the one I'm the most nervous to talk about because, again, I like this movie a lot. This is my second or maybe even third viewing of it at this point. But watching it this last time, realizing that, oh man, I think I made a horrible mistake making you guys watch it.
Realizing maybe this isn't a good movie.
No, I still think it's
dang.
brilliant.
That's too bad.
But it's got tons of material in there that I knew was going to bug both you guys, Jason especially, because I forgot just how much of the shitty static noise and popping and shit that it's like at one point, it's every cutaway is that noise, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna fucking hate this. And then also on how torture porny and disturbing some of the footage gets, I was also assuming like, he's not gonna like it for this either. But I mean, other than the, I really.
What is he
enjoyed
right,
this
Jason?
movie.
Do I have to go first?
No, I can go.
No, let's get this out of the way. I'm really sorry, guys. Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. I told you. I
No,
assumed it all when I was watching it this last time. I'm the one that's sorry for making you watch it.
No, well, yeah, maybe you should. No.
Apology not accepted.
That's right.
Ex-friend.
Not accepted. Yeah, the staticky, the editing.
It's every freaking.
It really is, and the guy who apparently watched all these tapes. That's like maybe
some of the worst acting ever.
Maybe ever, because I mean like literally ever, because it is impossible to have watched 5 of those tapes and not been affected by it.
Yeah.
And he
seems too calm and collected about having to watch all those 100 tapes.
He's like, "Yes, I watch these."
Yeah.
Like, okay,
It's
but
like, yeah.
And your head didn't fall off?
Right.
Yeah, my wife wants to leave me after catching 5 seconds of this. Like it's hard for you to believe how disturbing he's just being really overly descriptive on how disturbing these tapes are, but you're not believing any of it because he's not emoting. Even if like maybe like a tear started coming down his face or something at the thought of what he had watched.
Shows some
Just
trauma
something.
about.
Yeah, I can agree with you on him.
But again, like I know you just said you like it, and I know it's people's favorite movies, and I know people made it, but my goodness, I couldn't explain more how much I did not enjoy 1 second of this movie. It just is completely not enjoyable in any way, mostly because of the content of the films. I'm like, how is this entertainment? I won't say the H word about did, but it was the absolute lack of fun anything could be, and I didn't like it. So sorry, it's not for me. Too
That's cool.
serious.
And again, I get it.
Too sensitive.
Again, I'm watching it and I'm like, this isn't gonna be.
There's like, what's the point of watching the torture porn? Why?
I say the same thing about like when you talk about like these like overly emotional dramas that make you cry, and I'm like, what's the point in that? So for me, I don't know. It's thrilling. It is kind of terrifying to see what's happening to this poor girl, and how he is always way ahead of the police, even all the way up to the end. I really find it creepy. And getting the cop arrested for it and executed, and just waiting out his crimes until that cop is done and then starting up again. It's like I don't know, it's like supernatural level of evil going on with this guy who you never find out who he is. And I think it's pretty terrifying and creepy.
Sure.
And that's why I enjoyed it.
It was just, it was so hard to watch for me that it really makes me just want to stop watching horror movies.
I really get it.
Sorry.
Well, don't say that.
Well, it does. It really does.
Now you
not
make me
enjoying it.
regret.
I know.
for
I don't want
grabbing it even more.
I don't want you to think that, but
God, let's watch Killer Clowns then.
yeah, it's just it's too hard.
It is, and like this movie does have a reputation of being really disturbing for a lot of people. Because there is a character in here that literally, we keep jumping back to her throughout the film. That is just tortured and brainwashed beyond all human endurance. So I get it. Yeah. That's okay. You don't have to apologize, man. I knew it. I knew it going in. But is Tad still talking to me? Let's find out.
Yeah. I do not hate this one. On paper, I think the story and concept is the coolest of the three. I think the idea of it, like you describing it, and the years of I've heard of this obviously a million times. This is the first time watch for me. It sort of has a reputation as being exactly what it is. But maybe I'm desensitized. Maybe I'm just like whatever. But it's like it just felt like because of the quick edits and all that stuff, it felt like it was trying too hard to be hardcore and be. I don't know.
I mean, like it wasn't as effective, or
no, it was, but
okay,
but it was like you don't like put some more. I liked it more when they were just talking to the people and less of the footage from the killer's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I found that like I want like a just straight up. I don't know, more of the talking heads and less of that footage, and not so much like what Jason was saying of like. The hard to watch for him because of the torture and just mean spirited of it is just that it's like the low quality of it like hurts my brain. And when you're watching 3 of these movies, but like I love a good, well produced documentary on real true crime. And and that's not to say like this doesn't have a place. Obviously it has a cult following. It's well done. But it's just like so much of it, man. Like it's like having, I watched it in the living room while like Nikki was doing something. And I just was almost like, do you want me to like go downstairs and watch this? Cause like, it is just, it's like static to girl screaming to, weird clip of this to guy. And some of it, I'm like, the footage that they're showing of the tapes, I'm like, this is a bit of a stretch that he got this on tape, like, I don't know. I know that's sort of the point, but I still liked it. I did cool. Like this one.
Okay.
I do not hate you. It does not make me not want to watch horror movies. I might actually like watch this one again, not like pop it in to get a smile, but it'd be something to like show someone who was like interested in this kind of thing, like if I was with a friend and they're like, I've never seen that, I'd be like, okay, let's give it a watch. Like, I think you might, the right person might be into it.
Yeah. One of the things that I got out of it in a multiple viewing aspect, and I don't know if it's because I've seen it before, I can't remember how it impacted me the first time, but I found that one scene of the footage where the guy is just hanging out in the bedroom waiting to kidnap this girl so extremely suspenseful. And that might be because like I've seen it more than once and I know what's coming for her. But man, because he just lingers in that bedroom forever. Just out of sight. Like there are a few moments there where it's just like, how do they not see him?
Yeah.
But but I don't know. I just find that particular scene just so on the edge for me.
But that's sort of like what I was talking about earlier, where it's like some of the like when he's talking to people, or and it's like, where's the camera actually at in this scene? Like why, why isn't that person acknowledging the camera?
Yeah, and I think too, one of the more disturbing things about it, if you stop for a moment and think about the making of this movie. This could go back to our bonus episode. It's like maybe a documentary about making this movie might be interesting, because there is no way that actress, I mean, she had to have agreed to do it, but there's no way she wasn't physically abused in filming this. Like there was real like no pulling punches going on in this movie. At the same time, it's like I would assume she agreed to it knowing going in what it was going to be like, or else,
right,
there wouldn't be a movie probably. But man, and kudos to her if she got through that.
I thought her acting was awesome at the end too.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was powerful
during the whole
even if it's not what you want her to say.
Stenholt syndrome of her. Oh,
I thought she did a great job.
Just her sitting there, like so many emotions. Just sitting there, asking them what they want her to say, because that's what she's been programmed.
I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, I'm like, oh fuck. Oh, ow. Yeah. All right. So, what trivia do you have on this one, Tad?
I got a couple pieces, which is, I'm surprised. I was like waiting for you to mention this part at some point. Despite having been completed and having its theatrical trailer attached to several widely released horror films in 2007, the film was eventually pulled from release without any official explanation. It was later given its first official limited release 7 years later in 2014 when it became available as a video-on-demand title through DirecTV. The film was finally granted a DVD and Blu-ray release through Shout Factory 3 years later in late 2017, 10 full years after its initial planned release.
Wow. I guess I didn't know that, yeah.
Yeah, so this thing sat forever, and I'm curious as to when it says the trailer was attached to several widely released horror films, like, no way theatrical. There was no way this was ever going to be in the theater, right? I mean...
Well, one of the most disturbing things for me in this whole movie is that you hit play and the MGM logo pops up. Wasn't expecting that at all. Like, wow, MGM distributed this? So
yeah. And then the other piece I had is that it was shot in 15 days. All of the fake interviews were done in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
I'm surprised
and then took 10 years to come out on.
I'm surprised she didn't mention the little costume with the head on his head, guy walking on his hands and feet.
It's creepy.
It's the icon of the...
It is, because it's a creepy image. That weird, distorted look. The one thing that took me out of it this last viewing is like, who is he doing this for? Because she can't see him. She's tied up, so he's clearly doing this for the camera. I mean, there is definitely... They make it seem like he is rather... what's the fancy word I'm looking for? When you're...
Eccentric?
Really into yourself.
Narcissistic?
Yeah. That it's for narcissistic reasons, but or is he doing it because he knows the plan is down the road somebody is going to be watching this, but at the same in the moment you're like, who's he doing this for?
Yeah.
I assume you just like this movie because you're like, finally somebody with as many VHS tapes as me. That big reveal.
Just so people know, my VHS tapes do not have the same kind of content.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Moving on.
Yep.
Was that it for your trivia?
That is it.
Okay. So then, Tad, what is our last movie we're going to talk about?
Our final movie is Gags the Clown.
Gotta be kidding me.
Get all this on camera.
But earlier this week, we had an unwanted visitor. That's right, a clown.
Clown was first spotted 1 week ago.
Images of a mysterious person in a dingy clown suit with black balloons.
What can either be seen as an attempt at entertaining citizens or terrorizing them. Well, some find it to be harmless, good-natured fun. Others are troubled.
You know he's up to no good. Those original Gags photos are just creepy.
911, what's your emergency? Yeah, I was just chased up the stairs to my apartment by a clown.
That clown's gonna pop like one of those black balloons.
Crazy dude, he's been hunting Gags all night.
Someone with the intent of killing him? That's a 1 in a million exclusive. That's worldwide news.
This is bigger than we thought.
And the feed is cut.
Thank God, something exciting to report on in this city.
There's a clown in town. He's waiting around. He's waiting around for you. Yeah, there's a clown downtown. He's hanging around. He's hanging around for you.
This whole damn city's clown crazy.
It's just a guy in a clown suit, right?
An unidentified man in Green Bay, Wisconsin has captured worldwide attention for roaming the streets dressed as a clown. Many write it off as a harmless prank. Others aren't so sure. When a group of friends cross paths with a clown everyone calls Gags, his true intentions are revealed. I'm judging from what I'm hearing from you guys, you didn't love this one? Or Jason?
I'll say that these are handpicked because I loved all three. So
I'll say this is my favorite of the three.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And when I heard Jason sort of talking at the beginning, that I was like, I thought this was really cool. Like, I watched this really late Saturday night. It was sort of like it put me in that spooky mood of like, we're getting into Halloween season, and I will be clear, I'm not a clown guy at all. I think clowns are overused, oversaturated. They're not scary. I thought this was a really cool use of a clown. I love the idea because it, around that time we had this like actually happening in the country. Like people were dressing up in clowns costumes and getting spotted, and I liked the perspective of like following this news crew and this podcast guy and the different people around.
Like three or four separate stories going on.
Yeah, the kids that
one night in one event. Yeah,
these dumb teenagers dressing up as the clown and going out. I mean, outside, I think of the actual like news reporter woman, the acting of everybody else was pretty bad, but it's still this was for me the most entertaining from front to back. I really enjoyed following the separate stories and how they all sort of came together at the end, where the newswoman's actually trying to track down this podcaster who is now butthurt. His like ego's hurt because everybody watched him not kill the clown after talking about how he's going to kill Gags this whole time. I just like local lore. Like I know here in town, we're much smaller than Green Bay, but there's a kid that dresses up as Michael Myers, and like I remember the first like fall that he did that, people were like on Facebook like, oh, Michael Myers is down by Family Video, or Michael Myers is over off of Central, and like it was like spottings of him, and people were going around trying to like find him and stuff, and it made me think of that. And obviously this is like a more serious version of that, but the idea of like him popping up and then disappearing, and I thought this was a whole lot of fun. I think this is my favorite of the three by far. I really like this one.
It's all right. I didn't mind it. This actually isn't a first time watch for me.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, because it was the Halloween Palooza submission.
Holy poop,
2018.
it was,
when we were still doing features.
I forgot it was. That's why. That's where I saw it for the first time. Holy balls! I forgot.
Yep. I can't remember how it did. I'll go back and look when you guys are talking if I can see. But
I would hope it did well because I love this movie.
I'll try and find your actual notes.
Oh no!
From watching it,
I'm scared.
Which I can do.
Now. Don't read them on the air.
I like. And do you also know who wrote this movie?
Yes, John Pata. I saw that this time, and I'm like, oh man,
Who
is a friend
filmmaker.
He's been on the podcast before.
He's from Indiana, right?
Wisconsin.
Is it Wisconsin?
I thought it was
maybe
Wisconsin.
Green Bay. I mean, the movie takes place in Wisconsin.
I thought he had said maybe he even did a short film, and this is a short film turned feature thing, and it kind of feels like it in the writing. Anyway, but I thought he'd said once that this was happening. I mean, it obviously is a thing that's been happening, but this was literally happening in his town. So they're like, fuck it, let's make a movie about it. And it really was born out of that. And he edits a lot of Jill Six's movies.
Yep.
And he's a writer. And obviously, he's done some cool movies. And Dead Weight is one.
Yeah.
And just a super cool dude. Likes good music. A big fan of John Potta. Like I said,
yes,
he's been on the show before. I'm glad he's not on this one. But
oh no,
no, I just okay. So the things like the clown looks awesome. The clown is great.
Mm-hmm.
I really actually like Lauren Ashley Carter in this one. She was in Jugface, which I hated that movie too, but I didn't like that movie.
She's my favorite part of this movie.
Oh, she's awesome in this.
I think she yes, like Tad said, the best actor in the movie.
Completely.
But like, she's got a storyline of her own going on, but she's got some funny elements to her, some levity to this movie when, she's ragging on her cameraman and shit like that. I think it's hysterical.
Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing here Gags was a short film in 2016. Might have been, maybe that one was submitted. Anyway,
that's so long ago.
And Adam Krause, I know that name too, is the director. And
yeah.
But I was also gonna get on here and say the reason I don't like this movie is I don't like any movie that portrays podcasters in a bad light. I am
because there's no such thing.
That's right.
As bad podcasters.
That's not true at all. We all know better than that. But that guy was obnoxious, and if it took that to get those numbers, I don't know. It's so ridiculous now to watch. Yeah, I didn't mind it. The part that drove me the most nuts with this one was, answer this question, Mike. Is this a found footage movie?
Well, no, that's why it's in a mockumentary topic and not.
Right. You said others. Well,
okay.
The movie,
no, I think I know what you're saying.
It is sometimes and it isn't sometimes.
It's not really a mockumentary, is it? It's kind of more in the found footage category. You're saying that, right?
Yes. But also then, it's also not half the time, and that's what drove me nuts. Like,
it's not consistent, and it's
not at all. If you
okay,
and I don't usually let that kind of stuff bother me. I don't sit and like worry where's this, who's holding the camera here, or why is it coming? Like how are the logistics of it. I don't normally pay attention to that stuff, but there are times throughout this movie I'm just like, who was telling this movie? It felt like
like maybe sometimes with the cops, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's found footage stuff.
Because there's times in that in some of the cop stuff where it's like, it's clearly their body cams or their dashboard cam, but then there's all of a sudden an angle, like when they're in the they're in that one place and the guy's cutting his face off or whatever, and you're like, where's this camera angle coming from? Okay.
So just that unreliable narrator part of it that just drove me nuts. And so I found myself
but I kind of
looking at that more than I should have, which is on me, but
if you're taken out, you're taken out. You don't have to you don't have to explain it. I'm on the flip side of that where I'm so invested in what's going on that I didn't even think about any of that until you pointed it out. So you could go either way. It can go either way on any time you get taken out of a film. But
I'm with Tad. Clowns aren't special to me in any way. It's weird to think people are scared of clowns. I mean, anyone in a mask, I guess, is scary if they look at you that way and stand there and don't answer you. They're scary. But
I like the idea that in the clown thing is that like it's an easy thing for others to dress up in. So like when he shoots to fake the other gags, or when the kid is dressing up, it's like I like using it in that aspect because I like falling for the old like switcheroo, like when
Halloween
which
2.
one is which. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure. And then this artwork is awesome. I love the poster, the painted. Anyway, but then like maybe I was too checked out by the end. But then I'm like, what the fuck is happening in the tent at the end? I don't know if I cared by then, or I'm like, really supernatural this whole time? Like, what?
Yeah, it
what
didn't
is,
quite stick the ending.
What is
like,
happening? And then you go and you
feel
do
like
that thing to the reporter, and I'm just like, movie, just fuck off.
Oh, but come on. It was cool when she exploded. That was cool. She popped like a balloon. I thought it was hilarious.
It was like...
Yeah, but then she was dead, and she didn't make it out of this horrible thing.
Oh, because you were following.
Well,
I get,
yeah,
okay, I see what you're
awful.
saying. I see what you're saying.
I mean, whether it was funny or not, but it was
Bits of her
awful.
landed on that other reporter. I thought it was
and
hilarious.
then the shitty reporter bitch lady wins. I'm like, no, I hated it. So I suppose I should have gave it a bigger rating than 1, but yeah, I mean, it's fine. And yeah, the kills are cool, and you know, the Gags himself, when he's creepy, is fucking creepy. It's great. So that's mine.
I love this movie, and I obviously it's one of those times where a movie's done in this format, and I'm invested in it enough to where I don't catch those moments that you're talking about. But I think what separates this one from the other two is that this one has a narrative story going on in it. Like this, if you take away the found footage element, could have played like a straight film. And I love the idea of following like 3 or 4 sets of people in this one night, and how all of them, I guess, really, right, all meet up at the same place at the end when the shit hits the fan. And I mean, I don't know. I like how none of that circus stuff there at the end was explained. I feel like you get just enough with the antique store guy, to where it's not overly exposition, but still kind of explain, like, this isn't just some random dude. There's something more mythical and supernatural going on than just some random dude walking around with balloons that, when they pop, they turn you into a clown or whatever was going on.
Yeah,
clown cocaine.
You sort of think like it's doing that whole like Twilight Zone where he's turning the town on itself. Like, you know, they're out for a witch hunt to find this guy, and they end up killing each other rather than, you know, them killing the clown. I don't know. But yeah, and then it sort of does a switcheroo at the end. I was like, okay, we got like a light up tent inside of an abandoned building. What are we doing? And I mean, I guess it's cool that they didn't explain it, but it also sort of reeks of like, we don't know how to end this thing. So
yes, a little
okay.
of that.
Okay, I could probably give you that. Yeah, sure.
Didn't ruin it for me at all, though. And
No.
Again, like you were saying, Mike, I'm completely invested in this to not even think about the things Jason pointed out.
Which is clear in this. There's so many different cameras shooting this film that every single one of them, even ones that are like what appears, if you were to say, the cinematic audience camera, the nice 35 millimeter, great quality shots, still have little shits in it. And I'm like, there isn't one working camera on this set. Like that bothered me. Yeah. This one is, and it really shows in this one because there's so many different kinds of footage being used.
Well, it's funny because like I didn't think once about any of that on this one, but like the other two, like certain things pulled me out and bothered me. But I think it's because I was just so into this one that I wasn't distracted and trying to figure
clowns,
out.
Dad.
I don't though. That's the thing too. Like I think I'm the only one on the show that didn't like the new It movies. But this is I would rather watch this. This is fun. Like Nikki started watching it with me, and it was late night, so she fell asleep, and I was like, I wish she would have stayed awake because I think she would have liked this one. Like
he just put on a clown mask and stood over her and waited for her to wake up.
No, that's
been awesome.
I'm smarter than that.
Yeah, she'd punch you so hard.
Yep.
I think my thing is that I watched this one after Poughkeepsie tapes, so I was oblivious to all the static things in this one after
this felt like a
Poughkeepsie
cinematic
tapes,
masterpiece.
where every edit had one of those. Yeah.
Is this shot on a CB radio? What is happening? Anyway, sorry.
Over.
Man, and you can't even blame the argument I pitched earlier about supernatural entities causing bad things to happen to the tapes with the Poughkeepsie tapes, because there's nothing supernatural going on in that. All right, cool. Tad, what trivia do you have for this one?
Have a little bit here. This one has more. Because the film takes place over the course of one night, the entire production consisted of night shoots. The average day of production began with a 6 p.m. call time for crew and wrapped around 6 a.m.
Those are the good ones.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Good old days.
The last day of principal photography took place at a traveling carnival in Oconto Falls, Wisconsin, hometown of director Adam Krause.
Cool.
And the 3 production hard drives were all named after known clowns: Pennywise, Bozo, and Pogo.
Oh God!
During post production, one more was added: Krusty.
Nice.
And that's all the trivia I have for this one.
Yeah, with this one, you can tell the filmmakers had fun making it.
I had fun watching it.
Yeah,
it's definitely the most fun out of the 3.
I would recommend that to this for sure.
It's got some lightheartedness to it. You know, like I said, there's a few jokes in there that are funny. You know, it's not. It's definitely a good palate cleanser after Poughkeepsie tapes. Yeah.
And all 3 of these are on Tubi, Tad's favorite streaming service.
All 3 of these, which I'm assuming is why you guys.
We didn't know when the commercial breaks were and when the film was.
I think Gags might be on Prime.
Yeah.
You're right. Gags is on Prime.
If you want to watch it without commercials, maybe that's the reason I liked it so much more. I'm suddenly realizing why it's my favorite. I hate clowns, but why did I love this movie?
You hate commercials even more than clowns.
Maybe.
A commercial with clowns in it. It's like your biggest hated thing in the world. Anyway. Sweet. All right. So that is it for the films in this episode. But we still have more show to come, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to finish off with our last couple segments. But first, you're going to hear a promo for our podcast network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. The PFPN is home to so many amazing shows like Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Genre Exposure is a bi-weekly podcast plumbing the depths of genre films from the old, new, cult, and transgressive. Join them as they explore the wide world of cinema, broadening our horizons one movie at a time.
It's a great show.
It's a great show, yes, absolutely. Check out Genre Exposure and all the other shows at thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
All right, we are back, and let's go over to Jason with shout-outs.
It's time for shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
You didn't totally have to go pee or anything. So let's go over to the social medias. We asked, what are your favorite mockumentary horror movies? And on our Facebook page, we got Colby Keefe. Remember Colby? He says, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's the one, man. It's so good. Attacker Casey Kelderman says, oh, that's a good one. He says, Adam Green's Digging Up the Marrow.
Yes.
A fun little quirky green flick with a really great Ray Wise performance. So true.
Yep.
That movie gets better every time I watch it. It's good. Love the Adam Green.
Maybe Adam's best.
Yeah. Of Glad Mike's not here. That would have really sidetracked everything. Up next, we got, oh, look, it's Terry Turford.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, Terry. She's got some great answers. She says, What We Do in the Shadows.
Fuck yes. That's the right answer.
It is. Oh, man. Then it pains me to admit that I haven't even finished the second season yet.
I need to go watch the movie again. I haven't watched it in years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the movie's, yeah.
That's what she's talking about.
Oh, yeah, totally. And she's also talking about Behind the Mask, the rise of Leslie Vernon.
Woo. Yes.
And she also mentions The Last Exorcism.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's good. It is good. I need to revisit that one, too. Can we do a part 2 to get some of these?
Dude, we can do
these good ones.
So many parts. Some of these good ones. I heard
you
that.
heard that. Up next, we have Chris Gibson. Might be a first-time commenter. Oh, his icon is I Heart Horror Movies. That's nice. Well, and he's got one of the probably best answers yet. The Bay.
Yes.
That movie rules.
Yes, I almost referenced that earlier, especially during the Gags discussion, because I didn't know if you were going to go the whole route of like, who's putting this all together? Because the Bay does that, but they actually explain why it's edited that way with different cameras as footage in the beginning of it. Gags doesn't give you that.
Up next, we got Derek Wyrather. He says, Behind the Mask.
Woo.
Yep.
Getting
lots of love tonight.
Oh, yeah.
As well it should every night.
And then we got, I don't want to know what that means. Tim Lederers. Here he is.
Here we go.
Comfortable. He says, The Bay is a great mixed media collage with some amazing sound design.
Oh, dude. Oh, God. Yeah.
Right?
That scene where the cops go into that house, but you don't ever leave the perspective of the police car.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and all you're hearing is the shit on their radios and outside, and it is terrifying.
Yeah.
And you're seeing none of it.
He goes on to say that REC is fantastic work on a low budget, including one truly great shot where the camera accidentally swings to the side where the cameraman is running for his life at the end, and you see what's pursuing him up the stairs. I still haven't seen that movie. And of course, the Blair Witch Project introduced the concept to two new generations of filmmakers and fans, all of which tried to copy it in the movies we watched tonight. Tried not to talk about that. All rip-offs of Blair Witch. That last shot's iconic for a reason, and the rest of the film leading up to it is great as well. I agree with you, Tim. Big Blair Witch fans.
Would you say Goodfellas is just a rip-off of The Godfather?
No, it feels like its own movie.
So do these.
Okay.
Moving on.
Agree, disagree. Tim also says, but I gotta be me. So I'm also going to recommend an oldie but a goodie, Punishment Park, by the Academy Award-winning Peter Watkins, is a found footage horror documentary about the Nixon administration putting dissidents in prison and giving them a chance to run for their lives through the California desert for 3 days without food or water in exchange for a pardon, while cops with guns and jeeps hunt them down as practice for catching more dissidents. The final shot is absolutely chilling, and it shows that the system isn't broken, it's fixed. Yeah. Punishment Park.
He's quite the pitch man, isn't he?
He is. He's good at that. And then lastly on our Facebook page, we got Ralph Miller. I don't remember seeing his. He says, stating obvious choices, What We Do in the Shadows,
Yep,
and Troll Hunter.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I haven't seen it forever.
Yeah. All right. Over on our Facebook group, the Attack of the Killer Podcast Group Edition, please join. We got, it's Bad Movie Bunny Lisa. She says, I'd count Deadstream.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. We got Attacker Emily Randolph. She says, Digging Up the Morrow.
Love it.
Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Love it.
Hey, look at this. It's Joey Laboda.
Love him.
Oh, wow.
Love him.
Love him.
The Last Exorcism is one of the best mockumentary films in general.
Yeah.
Not even just horror. The ending is bonkers. The Last Exorcism 2, on the other hand, might be one of the worst films ever made. I'm glad you bit the bullet for us on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, Tad chimes in here. Oh, yeah. Cut them some slack. The first was supposed to be the last.
You can't
It's in the
have
title.
The Last Exorcism 2. I mean, it was the
Again.
last one.
Last
but-
Exorcism again.
So funny. Then we got attacker Jacob McLaughlin says, Lake Mungo is genuinely creepy.
I still want to see that one. That almost made the list. I can't remember if
I want to see it too, but I hear it's one of the
didn't.
slowest movies ever made, so I don't know.
Oh, you'll love it.
I will, so yeah, maybe we should pick it.
But I don't remember why I didn't pick it. Maybe because it wasn't streaming anywhere right now.
He says, no loud noises or jump scares, just atmosphere and unsettling imagery. That sounds awesome, Jacob.
Like Skinamarink?
Uh-huh.
Is it? Yeah, okay.
What?
No, we're not going to.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
And then lastly, we got attacker Bill Fisher. You heard of this funny guy?
He's a comedian guy.
Yeah, he tells them jokes. He says, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon is friggin' fantastic. Genuinely creepy at time. And laugh out loud hilarious. I meant to. He didn't put the S, but I was going to do it. But then it was just. I got stuck there. I couldn't. Anyway, the turtle joke and the walking and running gag makes me laugh every damn ass off to this. Laugh my damn ass off to this day. True. Thank you, Bill. Sorry about that.
You're gonna hear about it.
I know. I am so sorry. As soon as I did it, I'm like, fuck. There's like 3 more messages from Bill. God damn it. That's my inbox.
It's okay, Bill. We
love you.
We
love
Jason
you.
could be a jerk sometimes.
So much of a jerk. I'm not the nice guy you think I am. We didn't have anything on Instagram or Twitter or Threads, where we are now at Attack of the Killer Podcast. If you're over there, find us. But we do have this little red beepy thing. Red beeping light blinking. What the fuck is it? Words. Hey, it's Brian.
And you make fun of Bill.
Hey, everybody. Attacker Brian here for my bi-weekly phone call, and it sounds like we're talking mockumentary. So real, but not real? Or are they real? Like Willow Creek. Is the Sasquatch real? Or is Fire in the Sky a mockumentary?
No.
I don't know.
No.
I mean, it probably really happened. But a lot of people are going to go with, the taking of Deborah Logan, digging up the marrow. But my favorite, and probably a lot of people's least favorite, is Cannibal Holocaust. I love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Probably shouldn't love that movie, but I do.
You should not.
So go watch some, Poughkeepsie Files. I don't know how the hell you say it. I don't know that it matters. You should just watch it. And take care. Bye-bye.
Patooski, he says. I mean, it's one thing to ask Mike to spell it, but Patooski, there's not even a T in there. He is drunk again, that guy. I mean, thank you, Brian, is what I meant to say. And you, too, can give us a call and tell us about your Patooski at 415-952-6857. That's also 415-95-AOTKP. Leave us that voicemail. We'll put your Patooski right here on the show. One more segment to go. It's Insane Mike with some insane picks. Can instead of Spadoinkle, can ours be Patinkle or whatever? Sorry,
I have to remember how he said it. I'm already forgetting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, call our voicemail so we can too make fun of your call.
Yes, really encouraging, Jason. Good job.
What are we doing? Oh, Insane Picks. All right. As we explore the weirdest of the weird of Insane's picks, none get weirder than the film I'm going to talk about today. When I first saw this movie, back when it first came out, it kind of altered my perception on what a movie could be. From the set design, the casting, the very odd score, and the whole dark, gross world this filmmaker created. Not to mention this bizarre storyline that drives the whole madness along. I am talking about 1991's The Dark Backward. Even the title, that's just weird. What's that? What does that even mean? The Dark Backward, also known as The Man with Three Arms, is a satirical comedy written and directed by one of my faves, Adam Rifkin. It stars Judd Nelson, Bill Paxton, Wayne Newton, Laura Flynn Boyle. It's also got other people in it. Marty Malt, Judd Nelson, is a nerdy, socially awkward, unhappy garbage man who moonlights as an extremely unfunny stand-up comedian. He lives in a dark, grimy, garbage-strewed urban netherworld where a company named Blimps apparently owns everything. His best friend and fellow trash collector Gus, played by Bill Paxton, is the only one who laughs at all of his jokes. However, his sincerity is highly questionable. The obviously exuberant Gus plays an accordion, which he also carries with him throughout the entire movie, even when they're working and picking up garbage. Marty is dating Rosetta, played by Lara Flynn Boyle, and she is a waitress at a local restaurant in the movie. One day, Marty catches the attention of talent agent Jackie Chrome, played by Wayne Newton. Once this lump that's growing on his back turns into a third arm. Gus uses Marty's newfound freakishness to impress morbidly obese girls so he can have sex with them. So you do get to see Bill Paxton's bare ass in this movie. Woohoo! You're welcome. Horrified, Rosetta breaks up with Marty because of the third arm, and he gets fired from the club where he does his act. Now, Jackie, the agent, rechristened Marty as Desi, the three-armed wonder comic. With Gus now providing musical accompaniment, Marty gets a fresh start on his comedy career. Marty and Gus have a few semi-successful shows. I'll just say that his act doesn't improve, but everybody loves him just because he has this third arm on his back. And after every joke, when Gus is playing the accordion, he does this, he lifts all three arms up in the air and does a very slow, awkward 360 turnaround on stage. Marty and Gus, like I said, they have some shows that kind of catches the eye of Hollywood talent agent Dirk Delta, played by Rob Lowe. That's the name I couldn't think of a minute ago, who offers them a job. Marty and Gus and Jackie celebrate this big break, and everything seems to be looking up until Marty wakes up the following morning and discovers his third arm has completely vanished. He goes with Gus to see Jackie, who is furious at first, but calms down and decides to tell Dirk the truth upon Marty's suggestion. After calling Dirk and telling him the bad news, Dirk surprisingly asks them to send Gus to fill the spot with his accordion playing. Gus is ecstatic and leaves almost immediately. Now Marty is sad, but gets his job back at the club and uses the story of his third arm in his act to finally get a few laughs from the crowd. This movie is very weird and bizarre. I mean, he just randomly grows this third arm. Judd Nelson playing the most awkward, nerdy character ever. Yeah, this is the same guy who was the cool dude in Breakfast Club, and here he is playing Marty. With greasy, slicked down hair, these broken glasses with tape all over them, and a third arm. Everybody's great in this. This is the most over-the-top Bill Paxton ever. Whoa. He is just running on all cylinders at 1,000% throughout the entire movie. He does not stop. I don't think he basically yells all of his dialogue. It's just insane. This could almost fall into the category of those gross and gritty New York films if the whole environment wasn't so over the top. This makes gritty and gross New York movies like Street Trash look like freaking Wizard of Oz. It is a amazing, weird piece of cinema that defies all explanation. I highly recommend checking it out. Not sure if it's streaming anywhere right now. I didn't do that research ahead of time. I, of course, have the DVD that I've watched so many times. But if you can find it, check it out. The Dark Backward.
Nice. It's good.
Yeah, it is. That is it for this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And also special thanks out there to the attackers for helping support the show and keeping the lights on for us.
Yeah, sorry we insulted all of you.
You too can become an attacker, and we can insult you too by going to jointheattackers.com. If you also want even more Attack of the Killer podcast in your life, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Professor X, Instagram. What's that other one called? Threads. So check all that out for so much more Attack of the Killer podcast. Thanks again for listening, and we will talk to you on the next episode of Attack of the Killer podcast. See ya.
Oh no,
Bye-bye.
could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer Podcast. Attack